Welcome to the next lesson, Scaling Your Business to Success. And here's what we're going to cover. What's the difference between a $10,000 and a $100,000 a month business? And what's the difference between a $100,000 and a $1 million a month business? The difference between growing and scaling, how to set yourself up for scaling, and the guaranteed way to scale successfully. Let's take a look at a few typical businesses and see how they compare against one another and find out what the differences really are. First, we have a $10,000 a month business. Not too bad at all. They typically would have one product. They have some basic marketing skills, a handful of reviews. They're probably new to selling on Amazon, and they have limited brand presence. This is a great business, especially for a new business. This is most likely where you're going to be very, very soon. Now, let's compare that, though, to a $100,000 a month business. What are the differences? This company would typically have 5 or more products. They'd have advanced marketing skills. They'd have lots of reviews. They're an experienced seller now on Amazon, and they have a professional brand presence. By using what you've already learned and just putting in the time, it's not too hard to see how you get from that first business up to the second business. But what if we want to compare that second business, the $100,000 a month business, to a $1 million a month business? What's it look like then? Well, this new business has 20 or more products. They're experts at marketing. They have thousands of reviews. They're definitely a very experienced seller. They have a big brand presence on Amazon, just like some of the national brands out there. And they have a team that runs their business. That's one of the key differences. And if you notice, take a look at how the monthly revenue, when it went up, it wasn't directly tied to the number of products. There's a reason for that. And that reason is because of scaling your business instead of just growing it. In order to build a good business, so to get from that 10,000 to 50 or 100,000 a month, you need to be able to grow it. But in order to build a great business, to get to that $500,000 or $1 million a month, you have to be able to scale it. But what's the difference? Growing is simply adding revenue at the exact same pace as adding resources, such as you. You're a resource to your business. In our type of business, think of this as everything you're doing right now while you're working on your first product. We are growing your business. You continually try and grow sales through product listing optimization, increased amounts of traffic, and continual product and customer service improvements. Now, let's look at some real-world examples of growing your business. One would be you make additional improvements to your product listing and your images, and you gradually increase your conversion rate, which results in better sales over time. That's one example. You can also optimize your sponsored product ads campaigns each week and steadily increase their sales and profitability. Or you make several improvements to your product over the next 2 reorders, and both customer satisfaction and your sales slowly move up. Each of these activities are great, they need to be done, and are absolutely important to growing your business right now. However, they're all limited by the same things: you and your one product. Scaling is growing your business at a much faster rate than you're adding resources and costs to it as well. In our type of business, scaling is what happens when you're able to bring in more revenue or sales without having to add the same amount of resources, such as you or people like you, to the equation. This is done through a combination of many things, such as adding more products, expanding your traffic and sales channels, and implementing optimizations across your entire business. Now, to make that more realistic, let's take a look at a few real-world examples. One would be you add additional products after your first one, and you're able to launch much more quickly and efficiently by using your existing supplier and making immediate sales to your current customers. That's adding another product through scaling. Another would be to sign up for AMS, Amazon Marketing Services, and you're able to quickly gain more sales using the same type of optimizations that you use for sponsored product ads. And another example would be if you realize Amazon is only indexing 250 characters for all of your products, which is actually the case right now. So instead of you doing this, you have your employees go through all of your products and optimize their titles and keywords for increased sales across the board. That's an example of an optimization across your entire business that's not just dependent upon you. These are all examples of scaling and are the types of activities that you want to set your business up for. So how do you do that? How do you set yourself and your business up for scaling? Well, the good news is you've already been doing most of it by going through this course. Every time you source and launch a new product, You're perfecting that process so it becomes faster and easier each time in the future. And every time you optimize your listing and your ads for one product, you're learning a skill that can be applied across all of your products. These are the first ways that you'll be able to self-scale your own business up to a certain point. But the biggest gains come later. And that's when you're able to use these skills and train a team of employees to do most of them for you. And we'll be covering just how to do that later in this module. So if you want to do more than just grow your business, you want to scale it for success, here's the most guaranteed way to do that. Keep going and never ever quit. This won't happen overnight. It needs to start off gradual, but the speed of your scaling will increase over time. And you have to know how to do the most critical activities yourself first, such as sourcing, launching, and marketing, before you can train others and trust them to do them for you. And once you start scaling, realize that you will run into problems because as your business becomes more successful, you are becoming a threat to the competition. And be prepared because as sales go up, sometimes they'll also go down. So you must become an absolute master at two things. One, adjusting to constant change. If something happens, you can't stop. You need to figure it out, adjust, and move forward. And secondly, staying positive and never, ever quitting. If you can do those two things, you will scale your way to success. Now here's this lesson's action. And you'll notice it's a little different than I've ended all my other videos. Back in the welcome module, you set a goal for your business. Go find out what it was. It should have been profit per month by a certain date. Now, knowing what you know now, what do you think it'll take to get there? How many products do you need to be selling? And how much time per day do you need to put into this business? I want you to recommit to that goal and keep it in front of you as you scale your business to success. And coming up, in the next lesson, we'll learn how to decide when the time is right for you to enter into other markets. So head on to that lesson and I'll see you there.